Hello and welcome back, and today I want to talk about another new QNAP. How many times am I going to say that this year? They've really hit it hard, particularly in the second half of this year towards a lot of their new releases, and they are really pimping out two big things in their systems. One, tiered storage. They have been really releasing a lot of tiered storage applications and tiered storage hardware. The second thing, of course, is their ZFS file system QNAP TS-h973AX, which we're seeing arriving on more and more devices as it becomes more and more evolved. Now, today I want to talk about the TS-h973AX. This is technically a 5-bay NAS, but it's really a 9-bay NAS because it utilizes triple tier storage, and it brings so many cool things from QNAP that we've seen in 2020 and puts them into a frankly very small enclosure. And today I want to talk about why it deserves your attention, because let's be perfectly frank about QNAP as a brand. They release a lot of hardware, they release a lot of model IDs, and it can get fantastically confusing. And all too often we look at their range and we go, oh, okay, well, I like those two, and the rest are just noise. And a number of us find that when we look at their portfolio. Even though their portfolio is incredibly broad, most people will pick different subsections. They'll go to budget, they'll go to media, they'll go to surveillance, they'll go to enterprise. Now, this is a product that is trying to merge a lot of different interests into a single device. And if they can succeed with this, I'll be very impressed. So, this triple tier storage system, let's get straight to that bit right there. It takes advantage of 5 hard drive bays. Those are traditional SATA 3.5-inch drives, which means it supports the likes of RAID 5 and RAID 6 and RAID 0, as well as, because it's ZFS based, it supports RAID Z as well. And again, RAID rebuilding, RAID general building, all of that stuff is done so much quicker in ZFS due to the removal of the layer between storage port volume and storage for you guys, and of course bottom layer I should say. Now, those 5 bays, each one of them will support those up to the latest 18 TB drives. So again, you're talking Seagate Iron Wolf, you're talking WD Red, you are talking a huge amount of hard drive storage there. And of course, with those drives, they are mechanical hard drives. They'll only give you per drive somewhere about 200 to maybe 250 logically. They'll promise 270 or whatever, but I don't think you'll get that. Now, as you add each drive, if they're enterprise grade at least, you'll get another 100 megs each time, maybe 120 pushing it there, depending on your RAID configuration and the true enterprise nature and caching of those drives. So it's still not enough for some people. You want a bit more speed, and that is where the other 2 tiers come in. You have 2 SATA SSD bays inside. That's 2.5-inch SATA base there, and they do support 15mm drive if it's anything like the other 9-bay predecessors. So you've got some serious storage potential in those SATA SSDs, which can be used for raw storage. Each drive giving you, in excess of 375 up to 500 megabytes per second, depending on the quality of the NAND and the drives themselves and the controller. And of course, they can be RAIDed in a RAID 1 or RAID 0 environment as well. So they can be used for their own pool of raw fast storage, or can be used to cache the storage array of hard drives and give those benefits in terms of performance of IOPS, read-write performance, low latency, and bestow those qualities over the larger, more affordable, arguably slower hard drive array. But what's really interesting is the last layer. U2 Nvme. This is the first time I've seen this sort of thing on a desktop device, and it's very cool. It's got those 2 U2, which use a kind of proprietary SAS lane connector, and each of those NVMEs is PCIe Gen 3x4 inside there, so you are looking at 4,000 megs per drive that you're putting in there. And of course, if you use some of the QDA adapters from QNAP, you can install 2 NVMEs inside each of them. You can install an NVMe inside each of them and deliver those NVMEs as U2, even if you don't buy a chunky U2 drive. Now, why did they choose U2 NVMe drives there? 2 reasons probably. One, much faster proprietary connection compared with that of SATA. Secondly, and more importantly, U2 gets around the limited space available to an NVMe drive, physical space for the NAND, and you find that U2 NVMe's give you the same speed as traditional NVMe's, but a whole lot more storage, just a ton more storage space. And that's what's important, because now you've got a system that's got the 5-star storage drives of SATA, 2 SATA SSDs that can be used for caching or storage, and 2 stupidly fast large capacity Nvme U2 bays that can be used for raw storage or can be used for that triple tier storage system, which ZFS is just sitting there waiting to take advantage of. With ZFS's performance and ZFS's general file handling, with things like inline compression, inline deduplication and compaction, all of which QNAP have folded into QNAP TS-h973AX, it means that you have got an intelligent storage system, an intelligent caching system, and the file system that can take advantage of it to the highest degree. Now, with that, we can talk about the surrounding hardware. The surrounding hardware of the CPU, which again is probably for me the bit that I'm a little juddered by. It utilizes that new Ryzen SoC embedded processor, the V1500B that we've been talking about recently. It is a good processor. It's a quad-core 2.2 gigahertz. It just doesn't have embedded graphics. It's not an Intel Core or even that Xeon with embedded graphics that we've talked about recently in the TVS H12 and 1688X series. But, of course, that would have pushed the price point on this astronomically. That CPU is still a very, very good file handling CPU. If lacking in embedded graphics, it's still a 64-bit x86 processor there, which is still something to write home about. And again, quad-core 2.2 gigahertz. Now, on top of that, it arrives with support of DDR4 memory up to the tune of 32 gig, which again, you're going to need some serious memory there for the ZFS file system there and that triple tier storage. You can need at least 8 gig, and again, at the time of recording, I don't have clarification on the default memory, and hopefully that on screen should be remedied there, but I'm imagining at least 8 gig to take advantage of deduplication, compression, contraction, and all of that inline work happening in real time to be able to adjust the storage accordingly. Now, in terms of connections, this device has got 2 2.5 GBE ports. It's QNAP, that's pretty much the way they're going on the majority of their storage, not including the 451D2, let's not talk about it. But there's also a 10G port as well. There's a 10G base T, so copper port on this device. So you have a total available bandwidth of 15 gigabit connectivity here. So again, 1,500 megabytes per second across the device, although you can't really lag the connections for this device. I wouldn't recommend it, at least. Lagging lagging 2.5 GBE and 10 GBE together wouldn't be great, so I would still maybe keep them 5 and 10 over here, but it's still a great level of coverage there for the device on external connectivity. And definitely when you look at that internal performance available to it via all of those different kinds of media inside, whether you use them independently or take advantage of Q-tier and other tiering applications internally, or you go with that raw storage and use some backup options all the way in between. Now, it arrives with an external PSU, 120 watt PSU, and it keeps that chassis compact. It means that like 80% is available space on this device is storage, maybe 70% at a push. It has its own dedicated controllers inside for network and internal handling. So again, the network can kind of take care of itself thanks to processors from companies like Quantia, keeping things a great deal more affordable. And for what you're looking at as this compact device that's about yay big, I know the graphic isn't going to do it justice, you are talking about an incredibly capable device. Is it making too many promises? I'm really looking forward to seeing a software overview of this device, because this to me could potentially be one of the best entry points into ZFS for most users who prioritize the performance of files over that of capacity. And it gives you just enough capacity in those 5 drives to take advantage of RAID 5 and RAID 6, while at the same time giving you a huge amount of storage speed and bandwidth potential later down the line. And of course, because it utilizes QNAP TS-h973AX, you've got access to the gamut, the entire range of applications from QNAP for file handling in FileStation, QSearch and QFiling, photo management applications in PhotoStation and QMaggie. Then you've got surveillance, QBR Pro, Surveillance Station and USB camera support. Then you've got virtualization support in Virtualization Station, which has recently had an upgrade in the newest version of QTS for exporting VMs very, very easily, as well as probably having the best range of support of different ISOs VMs, not just big third-party Hyper-V and VMware, but simple ISOs and virtual hard disks and stuff like that. There's also support of a myriad of different file types, and of course the add-ons for Microsoft Office 365 to open docs and Excels within the system, utilizing Windows' own architecture of file processing. So again, a huge amount of potential for this device, and it's promising quite a lot. I'm trying to reserve judgment because I do think this is a very interesting device, but it seems almost too good to be true, and I think we're either going to be let down by the price or we're going to be let down by its sheer overarchingness, but we won't know for certain until it arrives when we do our hardware review and our software review. As it stands, this is probably the smallest ZFS and equipped system that QNAP have ever put out there, and with its support of all of those ZFS applications, and again the likes of intelligent caching has to be mentioned across the 3 tiers, and even QNAP rolling in. I'm not sure if it's going to be ready at least for a release, because I'm seeing preview on that, the anti-wearing technology they're going for intelligent drive monitoring, because one of the biggest issues with SSD, of course, is that they have a durability factor that's just not present on hard drives and only lasts so long. So intelligent anti-wearing is pretty much a given and is necessary all the way. So hopefully we'll be able to test that feature out as well. But this is everything we know so far about the TS-h973AX. Do check it out when we've got more information on it, and of course when our hardware review comes out when it is released. But click like if you've enjoyed the video, click subscribe to learn more, and visit the links in the description to learn more about this product, and contact the guys at spam.com to help you with your data storage. Otherwise, I will see you next time.